Much was made last night of Pope Leo's election and the fact that he's the first American pope, but that's not necessarily true. And the murmuring world now turns its eyes to Rome, where a man in Chicago, but formed in Peru, has stood in the white and red of Pope. He's become Pope Leo XIV. And the question, is he the first American Pope? Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost was not on many shortlists, but the conclave made short work of expectation. A quiet Augustinian friar, a former missionary, a bishop from Peru, and most recently the man entrusted with selecting bishops globally, Prevost had the contacts, the competence, and the consensus, and his election followed just 4 ballots over 2 days, confirming that unity, not drama, was the cardinal's priority. And he hails from Chicago, holds a US passport, and as President Trump was swift to point out, it's a great honor for our country, and yet this is no Yankee Pope in mitred stars and stripes. Pope Leo XIV may be American by birth, but his priestly soul is Peruvian. He spent decades ministering among the poor in South America, adopted Peruvian citizenship in 2015, and in his first words as pontiff spoke in Italian and Spanish, not a word of English, nor a mention of the United States. His very name, Leo, evokes Pope Leo XIII, the architect of modern Catholic social teaching, not Reagan-esque conservatism. And his regalia, not Francis' humble white cassock, but the crimson mozzetta, the gesture towards tradition, yes, but not triumphalism. Leo, and actually, last night I freeze framed a few of the moments to see whether or not he had the red shoes on. He doesn't seem to. Leo is being cast perhaps too easily as Francis 1.5, softer in tone, steadier in style, but fundamentally aligned on key concerns. Migrants, workers, ecological justice all remain in focus. His prior posts, including his leadership of the dicastery for bishops, also suggest that he would double down on curial reform, but with more administrative rigour and less improvisation. He inherits a church fractured not just theologically but geographically, a surging global south and a fading global north, and German reformists and African traditionalists, women asking for leadership, and clerics still reckoning with scandal. The American press, particularly the MAGA-leaning outlets, were quick to claim him, but social media posts under his name criticised J.D. Vance's ranking of love, which I think is rather clever, opposed the Trump administration's deportation policies, and invoked Augustine against narrow nationalism. There's no proof the Pope himself authored these posts, of course. The Vatican has made no comment, but the content mirrors the tone of his ministry. Open, global, compassionate, Catholic in the truest sense. Even his dress, his use of the mozzetta, which is something that was immediately noticeable, may nod to tradition, but his emphasis was peace, bridge building, and disarmament. Hardly slogans of triumphalism, hardly slogans of Trumpism. So, is he the first American Pope? Legally, yes. He was born in Chicago. He voted in US elections, apparently. But culturally, perhaps not. He never mentioned America in his first address. He addressed Rome and Peru. He referenced Francis. He invoked the Madonna. He did not evoke or reference the White House. In a phrase attributed to La Repubblica, he is the least American of Americans. That may be precisely why he could be elected. To many in the global south, an only in America Pope would be unpalatable. But a man from America who's lived out his priesthood among the poor, in Spanish, in sandals, that's quite another story, isn't it? Leo XIV will be defined by his passport as much as his priorities, but his priorities take precedence. He inherits not only a sceptical West, but a bleeding church, one desperate for moral clarity, for pastoral humility, for doctrinal stability, and he brings to this role a missionary's heart, a manager's head, and I hope a bridge builder's grace. So I think we should resist the temptation to caricature him in any way as Trump's Pope or Francis Light or Leo the Manager. I think instead we should watch and wait. And in time, the lion-hearted Pope Leo will tell us who he truly is. And we may be surprised by how much raw remains beneath and behind the velvet.